When it comes to racing games, we have a huge variety of them. If you are looking for a more simulation experience, Gran Turismo might be what you're looking for. Or if you're looking for action, the Burnout series is an excellent one to play. And with the Burnout series starting out on the PS2, I wanted to look back and see if there were any other action racers that I haven't played, and see if I could discover a hidden gem. RayTracers was one such game. If renting games now was as big as it was in the 90s, this would be the perfect weekend rental. A short and sweet experience that is really enjoyable. RayTracers is an overlooked racer that is a lot of fun. RayTracers is an arcade action racer that puts the focus of its gameplay on going fast and crashing into stuff. Levels are these bite-sized pieces of relentless action, where the player is trying to make it to the boss while keeping both their speed and points up. The minute-to-minute gameplay is really fun. The presentation is pretty good, from the simple visuals to the good soundtrack. Where RayTracers comes up short is in the content department. There are only 6 missions, and it will take you about an hour to complete all of them. Granted, there are multiple characters to play as, so there are reasons to go back to it, but a few more levels, modes, and maybe even a co-op mode could have helped to add more to the overall package. Like I said, the gameplay is all centered around the racing. The objective for each stage is to race as fast as you can to reach the boss. There is a bar on the left side of the screen that indicates your progress to the boss. What keeps the tension high is how each level is a ticking clock. You are racing against time to get to the boss area. At set points in each of the levels, there is a checkpoint that will net you with more time. As you are racing, your score will gradually go up. To increase your score in chunks, you need to take out other cars and objects that you come across. You are actively encouraged to bump into them, as they will net you with more points. And in some cases, you can get the same object more than once as it bounces around, allowing you to earn a few more than normal. It is important to clarify that hitting these other cars and objects will not slow you down, but it can put you into a position where hitting an object for points could mean hitting a wall, and that could significantly eat up your time. So in that way, there is a light risk and reward system here. Do you only focus on racing to the checkpoints to get to the boss with enough time to defeat them? Or do you risk it all and try to race as fast as you can while also smashing into any destructible object to increase your points? The racing gameplay is a mix of being in a car chase while also conducting a time trial. These systems work well with the arcade racing gameplay, as it invites the player to replay the levels again to get a better score and get higher on the leaderboards. Overall, the gameplay is easy to pick up and play while being very, very fun. At the start of the campaign, you can select between one of 4 different racers. Each of the 4 characters have different strengths in attack, speed, acceleration, and steering. You have one that provides a more even set of stats. Another favors attack and speed. The girl prioritizes acceleration and steering over attack power, whereas the last car is slower and hits harder. Each of the cars perform and feel different enough to invite you into trying each of them out. RayTracers also has a great sense of speed, and it never lets up. Because you are always on a timer, hitting some of the checkpoints can be very much a make or break it experience, on certain courses allowing for some very enjoyable satisfaction as you just make it through. You have a nitro bar that will give you a nice boost, but it is important to note that it is not unlimited, nor can you earn any more while in a level. What you start out with is all you get. At the end of each level is a boss for you to fight. These come in a few different varieties, from 2 robot-like vehicles, planes, helicopters, and military vehicles. Each of them have a health bar, and you need to hit them a certain amount of times to cause them to blow up. So this is why you want to race as fast and as well as you can earlier in the level, as all the time you earn from the checkpoints stacks, and this can make the boss fight much more manageable as you have more time to take them out. The nitro helps too, as it allows you to get a few more hits in since you can briefly move faster. Hitting vehicles causes bits and pieces of them to come off, and bosses will look different by the end of each fight since parts of them are falling off as you damage them. This is a nice detail and adds some satisfaction to the impact of hitting them. Mission 1 is set in the afternoon in the city. So there's some nice transitions to other areas like going underground and then popping out for a boss fight, and now it's night, with a full moon in the background. Mission 2 is set in a forest with a helicopter as a boss. Mission 3 has a lot of locations starting in the countryside, moving through a dam and then ending up on a bridge. The boss here is a military vehicle and I have some issues with it that we'll get into a bit later. Mission 4 is back in the city now at night, with a surprise mini-boss and a final encounter with an airplane. Mission 5 is also in the city at night, but the entire stage is a boss rush with a final big tank at the end. Mission 6 is another night level and you only have to contend with the final boss here. Outside of the main campaign mode, you have the time trial, and by doing well in both the modes, you will unlock additional racers. There really isn't much of a story here, but the opening cutscene is pretty good. While it doesn't really have the intensity of the gameplay, it is well shot. RayTracers is a fun arcade racer, but I do have a few flaws and ideas for improvement with it. For one, Mission 3 is a bit of a difficulty spike. You barely have enough time to get to the boss, and have enough time to actually defeat him as well. I failed at this fight a few times and it felt like it needed more playtesting. I only got past it after really learning the level and racing perfectly on it. Now it was satisfying when I eventually won, but this felt like a difficulty spike that was jarring, especially considering that the level 4 boss was a lot easier than this one. I do think that RayTracers could have benefited from more content in the game. The gameplay loop is good, but it's very short. One idea could have been to have mirror levels of the campaign, so instead of going from A to B, now you can go from B to A. A two-player race or battle mode could have been good as well. I do wish the game had a few more levels like the levels in 1 through 4, where you need to race against the clock to get to the boss. Before we move to the conclusion, I want to mention the soundtrack again. I really love the theme playing on the character select screen, and the rest of the soundtrack is pretty good too. It is all very 90s. Here are a few tracks from the game. RayTracers is a short and sweet arcade racer. It will take you about an hour to complete the game, and you will probably get some more time out of it by chasing a better score, time, or using a different racer. The driving feels great, and I love how most things blow up in just a few hits. More modes and unlockables could have helped to extend the game's length, and outside of Mission 3 being a bit of a difficulty spike, it is consistently very fun. Like I said at the start, this overlooked racer is the perfect weekend rental. If you are interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.